the kid gloves are finally off, and it's all thanks to our girl Kana Arima and her tunnel vision for trying to get a role in the movie. You can't blame her. She's really fallen off as an actor, and her idol, and her showbiz in the idol industry is not necessarily going as great as she hopes, seeing as how Ruby is taking all of the glory and all of the attention. So, Arima just feels like, a background character, if you will. But doesn't it just feel so great? Doesn't it just feel so good? Finally, the kid gloves are off. No more beating around the bush. Everyone now knows that Aqua and Ruby are twins from I. And it's just such a huge relief. It's now in the open. Now their dad is gonna start to panic, because now people are gonna start looking into it with a fucking magnifying glass. Why? Because his kids are still alive. Ruby's still out there. In her idol group. Aqua's out there doing his TV stuff and actor stuff. So yeah, it just to me, it finally feels like there's finally some fucking progression. This whole entire time they were really just keeping it secret. Oh yeah, I's our mom, no one really knows, even though they kind of resemble her in a way, not really, because they both have blonde hair. So obviously the father has to have blonde hair, because usually the father, here's a factoid that you guys probably didn't know. So if you go 2 generations back with your father, if he was bald, you will go bald. If it's like up to 2 generations. So here, obviously, I'm pretty sure their dad was blonde, and their dad was blonde. So naturally, it follows that they're gonna be blonde as well, or some type of hue. And it's all thanks to here, Kana Arima, bro. If it wasn't for Kana being dumb, this would have never happened. Think about that. If Kana Arima didn't have her tunnel vision, attention-seeking thirst for the showbiz and the movie industry, they, Aqua would have never have done this stunt. And the other thing too is like he asked his sister Loki. It was like Loki, right? He was like, "Hey, do you want to save Arima right now?" And she's like, "Of course, she's one of us. She's a fucking nakama." That's how they say in Japanese, right? She's a comrade. Of course, I don't want her to be exposed in this shitty weekly tabloid, all because she spent a night with some producer, a movie producer, in which case nothing happened. But everyone's gonna make their own fucking they're all gonna make their own assumptions, come to their own conclusions. And a lot of times it's going to be a lot of negative conclusions, which sucks. Everyone has it's just I don't want to get all personal and shit, but it happens a lot in my family, right? They think the worst of other people, even within our own fucking family. Like, wow, they're doing this to get back at me, or they're doing that just to get under my skin. I'm thinking like, what? Why are you thinking the worst of the situation? The worst, it just makes no sense to me. Like, I don't automatically assume the worst of people or presume. I just think, okay, maybe they just fucked up. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was this. Maybe it was that. But I don't know. So why even judge it right there in face value? And, and a lot of people do this. When they hear the news, they jump to conclusions and start pointing fingers and start berating. And they have strong opinions, when in reality, it's just what they're pushing out there. They're just pushing this narrative for their own little greedy little fingers. You know what I'm saying? You guys know how it is in showbiz. But I'd say that's like 10% of the reaction. 10% of the reaction. But the 10% is the loudest of the reaction. That is negativity. The majority is probably positive, but we're not out there like posting saying, "Oh, this was great. Yeah, this was good." No, we're not out there. We just keep fucking quiet. We just stay in our own fucking lane. You know, it's the negative people that are the loudest, so they're gonna get the most attention. It's like the nail sticking out of a board. You know, the nail is just sticking out the board, rather than all the rest of the nails are just chilling. You know, we're properly in our zen. Anyways, yeah, this was one of those episodes where if you haven't watched it yet, it's gonna be a shitload of spoilers. So I think I'm just gonna keep it there and just comment about Memcho. I love Memcho. She was really able to you know, calm down Arima, you know, comfort her. You know, she gave her this hug right here. It was just so great to see Memcho just put herself out there, give her a hug. Then this is when Aqua was like, "Hey, do you want to save her?" And she was like, "Yep." And she was like, all right, you're giving me the flag, you're giving me the signal." Then this is where he talks to the tabloid guy, and then it's just like, you know what, just spill our beans. Spill the beans about I having kids at 16 years old and twins at that. And we are her kids, FYI. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. Now, so this is Oshi No Ko, third season. God damn. Third season. Third season, episode 7. And now, after, you know, okay, season 1, you know, they're still kids, right? Season 1, they're still kids. So it makes sense that they really couldn't navigate the industry to find out who the fuck killed their mom. Makes sense. Season 2 was just like filler. In my opinion, it was just fucking filler. I'm sorry, but it was like the last 2 episodes. Shit was starting to progress just a little bit. So now, after a whole season and 7 episodes, we are finally, holy shit, we can finally get back on Aqua's Dark. And I'm going to include Ruby too. I think Ruby's going full evil as well. You can see it in her brother's eyes too. Like, Aqua's just not fucking happy. And Ruby's finally starting to get on the same fucking, on the same lane as her brother. She's starting to realize, like, wow, the industry's just fucked. And I'm going to have to manipulate a lot of motherfuckers. So, yeah, she's definitely on the same fucking path as Aqua. And Aqua, like I said, is finally back in his dark revenge path, which is not fine. It's not okay. You know, he wants to kill his dad, which is not good. You know, killing's never the way to go with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? He needs to do, like in Death Note, you know what I'm saying? They expose Light. They expose him, and Light just was like, ah. That's what he needs to do. He just needs to expose it to the world, right? That would be a better justice than killing the motherfucker. Unless he's planning to do both, in which case it'd be obvious that he's gonna be the murderer, so he's gonna do some jail time. So I wouldn't really recommend ever going in the dark revenge path that Aqua's about to take right here. But hold on. When the beans were spilled, I just loved Ruby's face right here. Yeah, this is right here. This is like, I'm like thinking like, bro, he was way too fucking, like, this was way too serious, bro. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, are you good? Because he knew who's gonna spill the beans. But then the next day, Arima was like, damn it, I don't want to deal with this negativity, but whatever. So right here, this is the moment where I'm like, yeah, Ruby's ready, bro. She's like, holy shit, I've been exposed. Everything's been exposed. There's no going back. And then Ruby's like, damn, I gotta go evil so soon already. Let me see. This is the face right here. Just look how fucking frustrated she looks. Like her eyes, her bags. Oh my god, bro.